But the first thing we need to do is go directly into Cleared to Play, where we take you inside the tent to get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. Doc, how we doing today? What's cooking?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about the Correa news. I think that's a great way to wake up. We were, a little bit late last night. That news came through. So Good news for Giants fans. I'm excited.
Hey, while you're on it, injury history. I know we go through this. It's funny to me. Oh, Mitch Haniger, Carlos Correa, they've got an injury history. Yeah, they're athletes, right? Can we just blow that off or no?
I think for baseball players in general who aren't pitchers, I'm not super concerned about chronic issues kind of arising. The only area for non-pitchers I get worried about are knees. It doesn't sound like Correa has knee issues. I think it was more of a back issue. So I'm not super worried about it. You get rid of that cutting, pivoting contact that baseball players don't have. So it happens. You play 162 games a year. The body is going to take some wear and tear. So I'm not super concerned about it.
Speaking of cutting and pivoting, Deebo Samuel likes to do both, and he's quite good at both, but he's out with the MCL and some sort of an ankle sprain. What do you think the prognosis is for the combo injury platter for Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, I think the report, I think it was Jordan Schultz who came out and said, that he might be able to come back in 3 weeks. That really indicates to me this is a pretty minor injuries. I mean, we saw the cart come out. He was grabbing his knee. Is it a high ankle? Is it a knee issue? I think this is probably the best case scenario you could think for Deebo. This probably means it's probably a grade 1, maybe a grade 1.5 MCL to have a 3-week return timeline, and it sounds like a low ankle sprain. So the combination of that is really reassuring for him coming into the playoffs. The other kind of blessing in disguise, and we saw this a little bit with Curry last year where he hurt his foot, this might actually give Deebo some soft tissue rest everywhere else to have him be nice and fresh and healthy. You get to 6 to 8 weeks out, it's a little bit more of an issue in terms of getting back in shape. But 2 to 3 weeks for an athlete like him, those injuries heal up, he should be ready and fresh to go for the playoffs.
Doc, what about Brock Purdy? We hear about the oblique. Kyle Shanahan suggested this is a pain tolerance thing. What should we be looking for, particularly on this short week?
Yeah, it's interesting. We typically don't see oblique injuries in NFL players that frequently. It's more of a baseball pitcher batter from kind of repetitive rotation. A lot of the data comes from baseball players. So in general, you look at baseball players, it's a 3 to 4 week injury. But for football players, is really more of a pain tolerance issue. There's just not as much torque for a quarterback as compared to a batter when they're hitting or a pitcher when they're throwing. So there are things they can do to control the pain. Sometimes they'll do steroid injections. They're obviously doing all the rehab and things like that. So I would like to see him throw a ball. It sounds like he didn't do that in practice, at least when the media was there. But as long as he's able to tolerate the pain and he doesn't get hit during the game, there are things they can put around the obliques to protect it. I think he should be fine, but if there's any degree of soreness, it might not be a bad idea to have some more Josh Johnson time just to kind of preserve Purdy, which we never would have thought we'd be saying at the beginning of the season for the playoffs.
From an oblique to an adductor with Andrew Wiggins set to miss another game tonight in Indiana. What do you make of the prolonged absence so far for Andrew Wiggins?
I'm not super concerned. Most NBA players, you kind of read around 7 games in terms of them missing. So he's missed 4 games so far. This would put him at 5, I think. So I would not be surprised if kind of that Knicks-Nets game, that kind of like latter part of the road trip, might see a Wiggins return. If you start to get, suddenly it's game 9, game 10, then I get a little bit more concerned. But it sounds like all reports that you hear Steve Kerr talking about it, or Wiggins, I think, this is just, they're being safe. It's appropriate. And you don't want this thing to linger because if you don't have good control of that adductor in your hip, then it can lead to other injuries. So not super concerned. I think he'll be back later part of this week, and we'll get him back. We really need him out there based on how the team's played last night in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Doc, real quick before we boogie, same team, and Steph Curry listed as questionable tonight with right knee soreness is what they're calling it. Is this nothing? What's your reaction to that?
I think they said, he went to the locker room during the game yesterday. I think he ran into Giannis, which I think would most normal human beings, that would be 3 weeks out. For Curry, it's probably just more precautionary than anything else. He played, but with this road trip, a lot of back-to-back games, a lot of travel. If they hold him out, just like with Clay being out tonight, I think it's just a safe thing to do. You got to think April, May, not December, January with these players.
Yeah, and we don't know if he's going to play. He is listed as questionable, but we do know somebody plays basketball tonight, Doc, and I hate to put you on the spot, but who might that be who plays basketball tonight?
I mean, Kevon Looney. Come on, guys.
Come on. It's the Pandya go-to. I love it.
Plays basketball tonight. Beautiful. We'll be watching. Hey, Doc, thank you.
No problem. Take care, guys.
All right, there he goes. That's Doc Pandya, and the proceeding was sponsored by UCSF Health.